in 1963 and retired in 1996, but continued to pursue his research interests in alternative energy and applied catalysts until 2009, when he moved to Toronto. Both he and Mrs. N N Bakhshi are now enjoying the Toronto life. In 1996, he was awarded the degree of earned DSc for his achievements in research. Over this period, he has supervised over 60 students for their MSc, PhD, and postdoctoral studies. In 1969, Prof Bakhshi met Swami Ranganathanji and was deeply influenced by his lectures, and ultimately he took initiation from Swami Bhashananji of the Vivekananda Vedanta Society, Chicago, in USA. In 1972, he has been greatly interested in Vedanta and other aspects of Hinduism. He was one of the founders of the Hindu temple in Saskatoon. Swami Bhashananji performed the inauguration puja for the temple in 1986. Current interests of Professor Bakhshi are the focus on the studies of the Bhagavad Gita. The title of today's talk is The Gita's Prescription for Happiness. Please welcome Professor Bakhshi. If you have any questions, we can meet upstairs and ask. Thank you.
So the title of today's talk is Gita's Prescription for Happiness. But first, a few words about Gita. I'm sure everybody knows about that, but I am enjoying this book so much that I would like to say a couple of words. Gita is a holy scripture of the Hindus, and one of the three resource books on Sanatana Dharma whose authority is considered final. These three are called Prasthantraya, scriptural trinity, and constitute the final authority on scriptural matters. The other two are the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras. Actually, Gita is much more than a treatise on Upanishadic philosophy. It is a profound book, and in addition to its spiritual significance, it is intensely practical. It provides guidance for our day-to-day actions. The values provided by it are universal and eternal. In my opinion, it is the best book on practical Vedanta. So today's topic is, what does Gita have to say about happiness? Who doesn't want to be happy? Of course, everyone. Pursuit of happiness is considered to be the aim of life. All our actions have happiness as the goal. However, we find that happiness is somewhat elusive. It is temporary. Sometimes we are happy, other times we are unhappy. Continuous happiness seems to slip through our fingers. It seems as if there is no such thing as a continuous state of happiness. The question then arises, is there a permanent or continuous state of happiness? And for that matter, what exactly constitutes happiness? Our Upanishad sages analyzed the situation and came to the conclusion that yes, there is such a state of being continuously happy. Furthermore, they developed a word denoting this state, because the word in happiness in English doesn't really tell us everything. And the word was, we all know it in Hindi, it's called sukha in Sanskrit or Hindi. Sukha encompasses much more than happiness. It can be described as a state of being happy, a state of fulfillment, satisfaction, absence of mental cravings and agitations, a state filled with joy, calmness, and being at peace with oneself, untouched by unhappiness. Untouched by unhappiness. There's absolutely no negativity in it. That is a joy of being in bliss. And the word later on, you'll see it's called Ananda. And the reason why, where does the word Sukh itself derive, we'll talk about that a little later on. So that's why I said, especially in spiritual matters, English doesn't seem to have that power as the Sanskrit has. Not only the sages came to the conclusion that this state of joy and bliss or ananda is joyous state, but it is the birthright of each one of us, for everyone. Nobody is excluded. The question is, how does one accomplish sukha? And Gita answers. And the answer is in the second chapter, verse 66. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana, nacha abhavita ashantasya kutha sukham. Literal translation is, the unintegrated or undisciplined mind, the word is ayukta, has no buddhi. How do you translate the word buddhi? Usually it is translated as intelligence, and we'll see that itself is very incomplete. Nor is there bhavana. Again, the word bhavana is a very complex word, but for the time being, the translation will say meditation. Nor is there bhavana to the unmeditated, that is abhavita. There is no shanti, it means peace of mind. And how can one without shanti have sukha or happiness? So, what is being said is, it is a very profound shloka, and once understood properly, has the potential of helping us at whatever stage of spiritual development we are. We don't have to be a highly evolved soul. No matter who you are, where you are, it'll help us. And it will take us all the way to the final goal of life, which is experience of Ananda. So nobody is excluded. The beauty and the power of this verse is that even if one is not spiritually inclined, you don't have to believe in God. Not even if one is not spiritually inclined, and if the guidance, the only condition is the guidance provided by this verse is practiced sincerely. That is the only qualification. It will improve one's health, quality of life all around, and bring more and more happiness and joy in one's life. Not bad for one simple verse. So, we have seen that in experience, and Bhagavan himself tells us, he was a great, I'm talking of Krishna, what can we say about him? But the more I study or look into the Gita, I find this man knew how to teach. I shouldn't be saying things like that about Bhagavan, but sometimes I enjoy it. Just imagine how every step was so logical, because we can doubt this statement. We said, don't doubt it. And in second chapter, verse 40, it says, Sulbam asya dharmasya trayate mahatubhya. Even a small practice of this will protect you from great fear. So, great psychologists, don't worry, just practice it. As the statement is, just do it. So we'll try to understand this shloka in two stages. In the first stage, I'll just elaborate a little bit more on the sense of this shloka, not worrying about the meaning by word meaning of it. And later, we'll delve deeply into what exactly is behind it. And the reason for that is very simple. In Vedanta, I have found that each word is very, very precise. It's just like a scientific terminology. You cannot quibble about it. What it says, that's exactly what it means. So if we understand that, then it makes sense. On the other hand, if you're not very sure about the terminology, then all kind of gobbledygook arises in the mind. So finally, firstly, the shloka is telling us that in order to achieve happiness or sukha, one should have shanti, peace of mind. One whose mind is agitated will not have shanti. So the first condition is peace of mind or shanti is the first condition. Then, and how does one achieve shanti? For that to happen, our bhavana. Bhavana means feelings of thoughts have to be pure. Now, even the word feelings to be pure, what does it mean? A lot of confusion about it. It simply means that they have to be free from lust, greed, anger, attachment, ego, pride, jealousy, etc. All those negative feelings should be completely absent. This is not going to happen in one day, in 1 month, or maybe one lifetime. But the effort has to be made. But that is what the word pure bhavana means, pure thoughts. Pure thoughts will lead to meditation. If the thoughts are not pure, there's no way you can meditate. So you see the significance of the word? Bhavana, my thoughts. What importance is it? Because if the thoughts are pure, feelings are pure, it will take to meditation. And pure thoughts lead to meditation, and ultimately, when we meditate, what really is the goal? The goal is, as was said earlier, Atmarama, where the I-ness disappears in the Atma and become an Atmarama. So that is the goal, that's called Samadhi. So that is the goal of meditation. And how do you achieve such bhavana? The line was ayuktasya. If the lifestyle is not proper, not yukta. Yukta means proper, disciplined. Ayukta means undisciplined lifestyle. So I'll be using both these words and remember that. So yukta means a disciplined lifestyle and ayukta means the opposite, an undisciplined. A yukta lifestyle is conducive for developing pure thoughts and feelings and thus meditation. So a yukta lifestyle is foundational. In addition, this yukta lifestyle also will develop what you call buddhi. We'll define what buddhi means, but buddhi for the time you can say intelligence or the wisdom. That's the word buddhi usually means. Thus, the bottom line is that a yukta, a disciplined lifestyle, is the foundation on which everything depends. Now that we have a little better sense of what is the intent of this shloka, let us go back to the original verse, second chapter, verse 66, and try to demystify what is really trying to say and profound meaning behind that. So I have broken it down into 4 segments. The first segment is Nasti Buddhe Ayuktasya. The second segment is Nacha Ayuktasya Bhavana, which is the same shloka, but I've just broken it down. Nacha Bhavata Shanti Ashantasya Kutasya. So the first part says a person whose lifestyle is ayukta, is not proper, cannot have buddhi. Now, what does it mean? In order to understand this little segment, we have to go into stages. First, what exactly is meant by buddhi and what exactly is the yukta lifestyle. The more and more I study this Gita, this is what I find that, not a single word has been said there nonchalantly. There's a tremendous amount of depth and breadth behind each word. And believe me, It took me quite a few years to understand what the word buddhi means. So, buddhi, what does it mean? Usually call it translated as I said, intelligence. However, it means much more. Buddhi is the faculty of discrimination between good and bad, what ought to be done, what ought not to be done, and the strength to do what ought to be done. It's not a small thing. It implies, in addition to that, the practice of satya. When you say satya is truthfulness in thought, word, and deed. It includes shraddha, and what does shraddha mean? It means earnest faith in the scriptures and the teacher, the guru. It includes yoga. What does yoga mean? Chit vritti nirodha. It is simply cessation of mental vrittis, mental ideas, whatever waves are acting in the mind. And plus the pursuing dharma, righteousness in all actions. All that combined will take us to a pure buddhi, make the buddhi what we call, what is meant to be buddhi. Just imagine simply saying intelligence is neither here nor there. All these components are not included in the word intelligence. And if you want to say that, that is a different story. Now, even the word dharma creates problems. Usually, when we say dharma, Hindu dharma, Christian dharma, it's a religion. Dharma has nothing to do with religion. Absolutely nothing to do with religion. It signifies a way of life based on the practice of eternal human values. Just as we need rules of the road for driving vehicles safely and arriving safely at our destination, similarly, for the human beings to live in the world enjoyably and fruitfully, and ultimately to arrive at their final destination, certain rules and regulations, certain values are needed. It has nothing to do with religion. The only thing is that when we drive a car on the road, I know if I do something, I'll get an accident or I'll get killed. I can see that. But these values we can't see. But that is the beauty of sages of all the world, wherever they are. They have given us these values that if we practice those values, the life will be enjoyable. Life will be good. And the beauty is, Maharishi Vedavyas, who wrote the Mahabharata, Gita comes in Mahabharata, who classified the Vedas, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras. They say there are about 100,000 verses in Mahabharata. Huge Gitas. When everything is done, at the end he says, "Oh people, I am raising my hands, both my hands. I'm telling you top of my voice, just practice dharma and you'll get everything." So that is the bottom line. That is the strength of this table. Okay, so what are the values of the dharma? When you say dharma, what exactly are we talking about? See, each and every word has a tremendous depth behind us, and we must understand, otherwise it is just glib talk. So, dharma has been defined for us. In a verse, there are 10 characteristics of dharma. Dhriti, Kshma, Dama, Astayana, Shauch, Indriya, Nigraha, Dhi, Vidya, Satyam, Akrodha, Dashtam, Dharma, Lakshana. Dhriti comes first. It means determination, firmness. Because if I do not, if I want to pursue something, if there is no determination in me, nothing will happen. So determination and firmness or resolutions comes first. Kshma, compassion. forgiveness. Dhamma is the discipline of the mind or the control of the mind. Astayam, non-covetousness. Shaucha, which is cleanliness, body, mind, surroundings and everything. Indriya Nigraha, control or discipline of the senses. Dhi, pure buddhi, pure intelligence. Vidya, education, knowledge. Satyam, truthfulness. And akrodha, absence of anger. So these 10 values should be, if one practices, that is the practice of dharma. That is what dharma is. So in a nutshell, buddhi is the faculty of distinguishing between what is right and what is wrong, and the strength to pursue the right action. A dharmic lifestyle, which simply means a life based on the practice of these 10 values of dharma, is the foundation for the development of pure buddhi. Only then buddhi becomes pure and all those mental agitations we're talking about disappear. If we simply want to control it, nothing is going to happen. That effort, sadhana, must be done. Without sadhana, nothing will happen. As one practices dharma more and more in one's life, sincerely, buddhi becomes more and more pure and the quality of life also improves. Because after all, the way we live, all our actions, because not to see what happened, should I do it, shouldn't I do it, okay, I should do it. If the buddhi is strong and pure, you'll automatically will do the right action. And it will be good for us. Good for family, good for society. On the other hand, if my buddhi is kind of puzzled, foggy, I'll fall in a well. And that's what's happened most of the time. It takes time, a long time, to reach the final goal of pure buddhi. But even a little practice, as we heard earlier, Bhagavan telling us, even that will help. What is needed is the continuous and diligent practice until the goal is reached. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Then Bhagavan tells us, again, I'm just trying to give you a little more information on buddhi, the importance and the glory of it. In the 3rd chapter, verse 42, he says, senses are superior, which means subtler than the body. Mind is superior to the senses. Superior to the mind is buddhi, and superior to buddhi is the Atman soul. So the difference or the distance between the buddhi and the Atman is not very much. Right next to that. And if the buddhi is pure, the whole glory of the Atman, Brahman, Godhead, shines through the individual. So that is the power of pure buddhi. Thakur used to say, Ramakrishna used to say, that there is no difference between pure buddhi and the Atman. Thus, full glory of the Atman, or Brahman, gets reflected through pure buddhi. In other words, the goal is reached. One does not do anything else. And if you read the Gita, you'll find time and time again this word buddhi comes in. In the 2nd chapter, verse 49, it says, Buddho Sharanam Anvich, take refuge in buddhi. Go back to Rama's time, Hanumanji was his greatest devotee. And you know, one of the appellations of Hanumanji was Buddhi Padam Varishta. Loosely translated in English, it means the best of the best amongst those who are considered highly wise. And that's why he was able to do whatever he did. Buddhi Madam Krishna. And there's no reason why, if we practice, at least we can't approach some part of it. Thus, the attainment of pure buddhi is essential not only for our everyday life, but also it makes us an independent thinker. You don't depend on any scriptures. You don't depend on anybody. My intelligence, my buddhi has evolved, so the thinking becomes independent. You don't get swayed by this opinion or that opinion. And it is so important, especially for the young people, because all kinds of ideas, thoughts, things keep on arising all the way around that. And every time you cannot go and ask something. But if one lives a dharmic life, buddhi gets developed, and then you don't have to worry about it. Now, that is what buddhi is. The second part of the first line again was a yukta or ayukta lifestyle. Proper lifestyle. How do you define it? What exactly does it mean? And again, Bhagavan tells us, he anticipated all these questions and all these things are sprinkled in the Gita. He says, and this comes in verse 17 to the 6th chapter. For him who is moderate in eating and recreation, one who is disciplined, temperate in his actions, who is regulated in sleep and wakefulness. Yoga, which simply means this disciplined lifestyle leading to meditation, becomes a destroyer of pain. No great psychology here. If you want to win a medal in swimming or something like that in the Olympics, you'll have to live this kind of lifestyle. You cannot do whatever you want to do. That discipline is needed. So, in spiritual life too. But the beauty of the discipline of spiritual life is that not only you can achieve the spiritual goal, but your day-to-day life improves tremendously because the health improves. If you live a moderate this kind of lifestyle, chances of becoming sick, having problems are reduced tremendously. Thus, a disciplined, proper and dharmic lifestyle not only develops pure buddhi, but also develops pure feelings, bhavana, and thoughts which enable us to achieve meditation. So, we now understand what the first line is. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya. Person whose lifestyle is not proper, not disciplined, cannot have buddhi. Nata ayuktasya bhavana. And also, a person whose lifestyle is not disciplined will not have bhavana. In other words, the feelings will not be pure, meditation is impossible. Now comes the second line of the verse. And it says, Nacha abhavita shantir. That is, one whose lifestyle is not disciplined and hence not capable of attaining proper meditation cannot have shanti. It's in a way obvious. Mind of such a person will always be agitated on account of those 6 enemies of the spiritual life which we talked about earlier. Lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, pride, and jealousy, etc. So, if the mind is agitated, how can you have pure feelings? How can you have meditation? It's impossible. So for that to happen, again, a disciplined lifestyle is the foundation. Thus, it is essential that one gets established in a yukta lifestyle and bhavana first, and only then it will be possible to experience peace of mind, that is shanti. Now, next comes the second line, second half of it, ashantasya kutasana, which simply means how can one have sukha or happiness if one does not have shanti? Again, I did define sukha a little bit, but the word sukha, its derivation is very interesting. Those of you who have read the Vishnu Sahasranama, number 728, one of the names of Lord Vishnu is God. And in one of the Upanishads, I think the Chandogya Upanishad, it's a Ka Brahma. In other words, Ka means joy, happiness, that bliss. Brahman is of the nature of bliss. Kam Brahma means Brahman is the nature of joy, nature of happiness. And of course, those who know Hindi or Sanskrit, I don't know any Sanskrit, but it's a very simple kind of thing. That if you add the letter Sa before any letter, it means it multiplies, it's abundance, more of it. So if you put Sa before Ka, it becomes Sukha. Ka is happiness, joy, abundance of that, much more of that. See, there's a name of girls called Naina, person with beautiful eyes. Sunana, much more beautiful, and so on and so forth. Name of Sugriva. Sugriva, Griva means neck. Sugriva means neck must have been very powerful, beautiful. So it becomes Sugriva, and so on and so forth. By the same token, if you write a Da before that, it becomes negative. So Da before Ka becomes Dukha, which is pain and misery. So what they are trying to say is that this is what joy and bliss is. Thus, the ultimate goal is the achievement of undecaying Sukha or Ananda, and that is the nature of Brahman. And the reason for this also is, you just talked about Shuka and his joy, for example, in the bhakti and devotion and things like that. And we say, no, happiness is something, but bliss or Ananda is much more than that. Can you define it? Can you define it? We can say, no, the only way you can do it is experience it. But the sages were great scientists. So one guy sat down and said, yeah, I'm trying to measure it. And you know what he did? This occurs in Tattva. He said, imagine a person, young, virile, and he possesses anything, everything what you can think of. Money, wealth, health, you name it, he has it. He says, that is one unit of happiness. And then he keeps on going, and ultimately, when the Sukha, this Brahma Ananda of the Brahman comes, you know how far it goes? 1 trillion times. We can't even imagine. So this is the reason why the scriptures tell us that, don't talk about it. Just experience it, and once you experience it, you'll know. And that's why Thakur used to say, you remember, that once you get to that stage, all the dogs bark in the same language. That's what happens. You can't describe it. It's impossible. So now that we understand all the technical and Vedantic terms of Shloka 266, so just imagine the depth and the breadth of these 4 words in there which you're talking about. What is Sukha, what is Shanti, what is Yukta, what is a Yukta lifestyle, and Bhavana and Buddhi. So in order to achieve Sukha, it is essential that one has Shanti. One cannot have Shanti, a peace of mind, if one has not achieved meditation, that is Bhavana. And Bhavana cannot be achieved if the lifestyle is without disciplining the senses and the mind. Also, one cannot have buddhi without a disciplined lifestyle. And where does the disciplined lifestyle originate? It originates from dharma. Those 10 values. Okay? So, just think about that for a minute. Those 10 values of dharma, practicing those 10 values of dharma, will take us to the final goal, give us happiness and all that. Was the word God at all mentioned in there? Those 10 values? I didn't mention the word God in there. I didn't mention the word Brahman in there. Nothing was mentioned. Those 10 values are simply universal values. We have seen in our discussion that if one practices dharma sincerely in our day-to-day life, one will achieve over time more and buddhi, pure buddhi, that is bhavana, shanti, and sukha. Obviously, I keep on repeating myself, one's health and quality of life will improve as one progresses in practice. The only requirement is dharmic life. And remember those 10 values, which is dhriti, kshma, dhamma, svayam, determination, compassion, control of mind, non-covetousness, cleanliness, control of senses, development of pure buddhi, knowledge, speaking the truth, and absence of anger. When I say pursue dharma, the name of God doesn't even appear. So none of them talk about God or spirituality. They're all human values for everyone, universal and eternal. They were applicable for a happy life in the past, are applicable in the present, and will remain applicable in the future as well. So, the thing is that we have to, if pursuit of happiness, I want happiness, the only requirement is the life of dharma. What happens? Veda Vyasa has already told us that, just practice dharma and you'll reach the goal. You don't have to really worry about anything else. So to me, that is the beauty of Gita. That it doesn't tell you, oh, you should believe in God. Oh, you should be spiritual. Nothing doing. Just do it. And when we do that, what you find is that it elevates our mind. It elevates the whole personality. And when personality is elevated, you feel good about it, slowly and gradually. And then ultimately, because we are practicing those values, then the buddhi, pure buddhi, remember what Thakur said, it's very close to it's closest to the Atman. So once it becomes pure, Atman automatically shines through that. And that's it. Nobody has to say anything, nobody has to take any teachings, you don't have to read book A, B, C, D, nothing. That is the power of the following dharma, that's the Gita. Now I'll finish it, close the talk here. Just a few lines are here, I don't know what the source is. But I read that in Sai Baba literature, and these are beautiful lines. If there be righteousness in the heart, practice of righteousness is dharma. There will be beauty in the character. If there be beauty in character, there will be harmony in home. If there be harmony at home, there will be order in the nation. And if there be order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. As a matter of fact, when we look around it, the misery, the social problems which you all seeing happening, in my opinion, lack of the practice of dharma. So any society which practices dharma, chances of peace and prosperity will be there. If we don't do it, then that's exactly what's going to happen. If car on the road, everybody wants to go their own way, see what happens. Thank you very much.